Hello. So, I have to do what I have to do in order to get this off my chest. And what I wanted to do with you now is bring up Mandela effects that are the more elusive ones for which I have no proof, which is why we're seeing a nuclear reactor, because I have nothing to show you as far as the internet goes. And of course, when I say Mandela effects, obviously Mandela effects with quotation marks around it, because they're only Mandela effects for yours truly. But it's just like, these things have disappeared from my life. And these things used to be an intrinsic part of my life. And they're just gone. So in making this video, I have absolutely nothing to show you on the computer that could tell you where they went or what they were. I mean, there's nothing referential I can give you. The only thing I can do is just talk about them and see if anyone else remembers them. And they may sound trivial, but they were seriously like a key part of my life growing up. Certain things. One was for kind of a pivotal part of my life. Oh God. And I don't even know if I should be talking about that pivotal part of my life because it's kind of personal, but what the hey. It's also kind of funny too. So the first one involves my childhood, and this thing was just what I considered it a very, very intrinsic part of my childhood. I enjoyed this toy like to the point of it being magical, and I don't know why. But it was essentially a suitcase. It was like a briefcase that you carried, and then you opened it up, and this landscape would appear. And there was nothing, magical or spectacular. It was just essentially this cheesy plastic, like really, really thin plastic substance, and it was used as roads for your Hot Wheels cars. And it was weird because it wasn't even dark roads. It wasn't even blacktop roads with white lines on it. It was like dirt roads. So that's what made it so enchanting, because it was very rural and it was just something that you could drive your Hot Wheels cars on. And I remember it was just so smooth and beautiful. And there was a bridge with a stream over it. And it was just like, wow. It was like opening this wonderful landscape out of a briefcase. And I have looked for this thing on the internet. I have scoured the internet. I wouldn't even know what to call it, but I used to play with this thing with my aunt, and she was only 6 years older than I was, so maybe it was some weird 60s thing, because she was born in the 60s. Who knows? The 60s were weird anyway. So that was the first thing. It was just this like landscape. Boop! You'd open it up and it would come out of like a briefcase type thing. It just kind of reminds me of today. Women open their purses and they're glowing. Something glowing is coming out of them, and it's their cell phone. It's kind of like, it's actually kind of Harry Potter-esque magic when you think about it. But I'm sure if somebody from a parallel universe described it in a parallel universe where they don't yet have cell phones, they'd be like, whoa, man, what you got over there? So anyway, that's the first thing. The second thing was this song that came out in the spring of 1983. I remember it distinctly. And it was by the Bee Gees. And I remember everybody was making such a big deal out of it because, oh my God, the Bee Gees released another song and so on and so forth. And it was just really magical sounding. It was like springtime in New York. And I remember it distinctly because my mother took me to audition for the Joffrey Ballet and the American Ballet Theater Company and their summer programs. And I remember that song got me pumped through it. And it had this great trumpet bridge. And I don't remember what it sounded like. I don't remember the words to it. I kind of remember what the trumpet bridge sounded like, but I could not do it justice by singing it. And I just remember it was just so exciting, and it sounded like New York in the springtime. And I have scoured the internet. I have scoured the discography for the Bee Gees. And there was nothing of significance that came out really after the Staying Alive album. After the Staying Alive soundtrack, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, there was nothing I could find. And that's when it probably would have come out probably before then. Right. No. Because if it came out in the spring, Staying Alive came out in the summer of 83. Oh my God, I'm such an 80s nerd, you guys. I totally remember the 80s. So, I have not been able to find this thing. Hide nor hair, I cannot find this song. And it came out, I'll tell you how I remember this. It came out around the same time as one of the Doobie Brothers broke free. It is Patrick, I want to say Patrick Duffy, but I know that's not right. Patrick Duffy was on Dallas. It is Patrick, the name is coming to me. Patrick somebody, and he had this song, So Wrong, So Wrong. I could never be so wrong, so wrong. Anyway, so it came out around the same time, and I can't find this song, and it's bumming me out, man. And I've also looked under individual Bee Gees, too, because I thought, well, maybe it would have come out under individual Bee Gees. But if anybody remembers that song and doesn't think I'm crazy and knows what I'm talking about and also wants to admit to liking the Bee Gees like myself, go for it. You have nothing to be ashamed of. The last thing I remember, oh God, this is kind of embarrassing. So when I was in high school, when I was in high school, like a senior in high school, I had my first serious boyfriend, and we were going to do the deed. So being the responsible teenager I was, having grown up in a college town, I was very well educated on sex and what you needed to do to protect against pregnancy. So I went to the drugstore, I got my condoms, I got my spermicides, and I got one other thing. I got these things. They were like these square fruit roll-ups. They were like these fruit roll-ups made of spermicide. And they were square, exactly the consistency of fruit roll-ups, well, except without the seeds. Because that'd be really weird that would be antithetical of a spermicide to have any kind of seed in there. But I went and I got it, and the instructions said, what you do is you take this square and you fold it up like maybe 1 or 2 times, and you shove it up inside yourself, and it's a spermicide. And it can be used with a condom, without a condom, although I think they recommended using a condom with it. And it was basically like a clear plastic-looking square thing, and it was a spermicide fruit roll-up. And I remember distinctly experimenting with it without getting too graphic. And I have looked for this thing online. It's like the Today Sponge on Seinfeld, only people remember that. I have looked for this thing online. I have scoured the internet. I have asked several of my girlfriends. Nobody remembers this thing. So I'm kind of at a loss. Oh, and needless to say, I never ended up doing the deed with my boyfriend because he ended up being kind of a jerk to me. That night, I ended up taking a cab home. I was like, screw you. I ain't screwing you if you're going to screw with me. So that's pretty much it. So we've got your briefcase roads, we got your Bee Gees, and we got your birth control. So anybody let me know. Let me know if you remember that. Why am I talking like that? Oh my God. Anyway, let me know. And I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.